Namo Narayana, welcome back. We are reading today chapter 10 of Canto 4, Dhruva Maharaja's fight with the Yakshas. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, thereafter, Dhruva Maharaja married the daughter of Prajapati Shishumara, whose name was Brahmi, and the two sons named Kalpa and Vatsara were born of her. The greatly powerful Dhruva had another wife named Ilya, who was the daughter of the demigod Vayu. By her he begot a son named Utkala and a very beautiful daughter. Dhruva's younger brother Uttama, who was still unmarried, once went on a hunting excursion and was killed by a powerful Yaksha in the Himalaya mountains. Along with him, his mother Srutsi also followed the path of her son. She died. When Dhruva Maharaja heard of the killing of his brother, Uttama, by the Yakshas in the Himalaya mountains, being overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, he got on his chariot and went out for victory over the city of the Yakshas, Alakapuri. Dhruva went to the northern direction of the Himalayan range. In a valley he saw a city full of ghostly persons who were followers of Lord Shiva. As soon as Dhruva reached Alakapuri, he immediately blew his conch shell, and the sound reverberated through the entire sky and in every direction. The wives of the Yakshas became very frightened. From their eyes it was apparent they were full of anxiety. The greatly powerful heroes of the Yakshas, unable to tolerate the resounding vibration of the conch shell of Dhruva, came forth from their city with weapons and attacked Dhruva. But Dhruva was a great charioteer and certainly a great bowman also, and immediately began to kill them by simultaneously discharging arrows 3 at a time. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and that they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. Just like serpents, who cannot tolerate being trampled upon by anyone's feet, the Yakshas, being intolerant of the wonderful prowess of Dhruva, threw twice as many arrows, 6 from each soldier, and thus they invariably exhibited their prowess. The Yaksha soldiers were 130,000 strong, all greatly angry and all desiring to defeat the wonderful activities of Dhruva Maharaja. With full strength they showered upon him, along with his chariot and charioteer, various types of feathered arrows, iron bludgeons, swords, tridents, lances, pikes, spears, and busundi weapons. Dhruva was completely covered by an incessant shower of weapons, just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall. All the cities from the higher planetary systems were observing the fight from the sky, and when they saw that Dhruva had been covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, they roared triumphantly. They roared, "The grandson of Manu, Dhruva, is now lost!" They cried that Dhruva was just like the sun, and that now he had set within the oceans of the Yakshas. The Yakshas, being temporarily victorious, exclaimed that they had conquered Dhruva Maharaja. But in the meantime, Dhruva's chariot suddenly appeared, just as the sun suddenly appears within a foggy mist. His bow and arrows twanged and hissed, causing lamentation in the hearts of his enemies. He began to shoot incessant arrows, shattering all their different weapons, just as the blasting wind scatters the assembled clouds in the sky. The sharp arrows released from the bow of Dhruva pierced the shields and bodies of the enemy like the thunderbolts released by the King of Heaven, which dismantled the bodies of the mountains. The heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of Dhruva were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. The legs of their bodies were as beautiful as golden palm trees. Their arms were decorated with golden bracelets and armlets, and on their heads there were very valuable helmets bedecked with gold. All these ornaments, lying on that battlefield, were very attractive and could bewilder the mind of a hero. The remaining Yakshas, who somehow or other were thus not killed, had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior. Thus they began to flee, just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Dhruva, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield not one of the opposing soldiers was left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alakapuri, but he thought to himself, "No one knows the plans of the mystic Yakshas. In the meantime, while Dhruva, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound, as if the whole ocean was there, and they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. Within a moment the whole sky was overcast with dense clouds, and severe thundering was heard. There was glittering electric lightning and severe rainfall. In that rainfall there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine, and marrow falling heavily before the Dhruva, and there were trunks of bodies falling from the sky. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions hailstones fell, along with lances, clubs, swords, iron bludgeons, and great pieces of stone. The Dhruva also saw many big serpents with angry eyes, vomiting forth blood and coming to devour him, along with groups of mad elephants, lions, and tigers. Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with foaming waves and giant roaring sounds came forward before him. The demon Yaksas are by very nature heinous, and by their demonic power of illusion they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. When the great sages heard that Dhruva was overpowered by mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. The sages said, "Dear Dhruva, son of King Uttanapada, may the Lord, known as Sarnagadavana, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus a devotee is saved." And thus ends chapter 10. Sometimes I think these stories would make great cartoons, and I'm willing to bet in India they have been made into a cartoon. I mean, just think about it. This one guy and his charioteer, I feel sorry for that charioteer, standing here and like all this stuff coming at him, and I mean, it'd be like, it'd be like a wild Star Trek or Doctor Who episode or something. I mean, it's so visual and it's so exciting. Like I said, there's probably a cartoon out there. It's probably in Hindi or something. I can't, I wouldn't understand it. But or an anime. I could see this is actually probably be a really good anime with all that sort of the warrior type poses those characters are in. I know that to say this should be a cartoon, I mean, it's kind of making fun of this really powerful story. I don't know. It's so over the top, this story. So improbable that you almost kind of, in order to deal with it, you kind of almost have to make it into a little bit of a joke just so you can relax, go, oh yeah, that was fun. Because otherwise you're like, this is just impossible and this is so stupid and I'm just not going to read this. You know what I mean? It's like there's a thing now with movies where we're just so tired of seeing, many of us, are tired of seeing movies that they're just impossible. You had this little 80-pound woman who beats up 300-pound sumo warriors and doesn't, not a hair's out of place. It's just that we did those in the 50s with Cary Grant, who would do everything he could, and his suit would still not be wrinkled, If we get tired of those, we want realism. So, here it is, a book. And it's just as unbelievable as some movies coming out now. So I'm just going to make light of it. Just take it for what it is. And I know that disrupts the spiritual teachings, because these are the profound spiritual teachings. These are the words of God. But the human mind is not equipped for the words of God sometimes. That's the utter truth. All right. So in the next chapter, we'll pick up this battle and we'll see what happens. And until then, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.